Watch, listen, and complete the form on the library Schoology page. As supplies last, Eagle Staff Prime will drop books off on your doorstep. Free books. Realistic fiction. Things That Will Not Change by Rebecca Stead. Sonia and I have a lot in common. Our parents are divorced, our dads are gay. We both love barbecue potato chips. But she's different from me at least one way. You can't tell how she's feeling just by looking at her. At all. When Bea's dad and his wonderful partner Jessie decide to marry, it looks as if Bea's biggest wish is coming true. She's finally going to have a sister. They're both 10. They're both in 5th grade. Though they've never met, Bea knows that she and Sonia will be perfect sisters. Just like sisters anywhere, Bea thinks. But as the wedding day approaches, Bea makes discoveries that lead her to a possibly disastrous choice. Making a new family brings questions, surprises, and joy. It's been 27 days since Cleo and Layla's friendship imploded. Nearly a month since Cleo realized they'll never be besties again. Now Cleo wants to erase every memory, good or bad, that tethers her to her ex-best friend. But pretending Layla doesn't exist isn't as easy as Cleo hoped, especially after she's assigned to be Layla's tutor. Despite budding new friendships with their classmates and a raging crush on a gorgeous boy named Dom, Cleo's turbulent past with Layla comes back to haunt them both. Alternating between the lines of then and now, When You Were Everything blends past and present into an emotional story about the beauty of self-forgiveness, the promise of new beginnings, and the courage it takes to remain open to love. Read When You Were Everything by Ashley Woodfolk. You can't rewrite the past, but you can always choose to start again. The Lucky Ones by Liz Lawson. May is a survivor, but she doesn't feel like one. She feels angry and lost and alone. 11 months after the school shooting that killed her twin brother, May still doesn't know why she was the only one to walk out of the band room that day. No one gets what she went through. No one saw and heard what she did. No one can possibly understand how it feels to be her. Zach lost his old life when his mother decided to defend the shooter. His girlfriend dumped him, his friends bailed, and now he spends his time hanging out with his little sister. And the one faithful friend who stuck around. His best friend is needy and demanding, but he won't let Zach disappear into himself, which is how Zach ends up at band practice that night. Which is how May meets Zach. The same night May goes with her best friend to the audition for a new band. And how Zach meets May, and how both might figure out that surviving could be an option after all. It's 1971, a time of bell-bottoms and cool boots, and a time of big change. As mixed-race girls, Jemima, Josie, and Francesca have always felt like outsiders in their mostly white neighborhood in Queens and New York City. At least they have each other. Now it's 7th grade, and they're part of an important experiment. Kids will go on long bus rides to integrate a new school in black neighborhoods. Maybe there the 3 girls can finally fit in. Until Francesca's parents put her in private school and Jamila and Josie discover they're not even in the same classes. How do they find their place in a school so divided between black and white? And what about the boys wanting to be friends and maybe more? Can kids come together when grown-ups stay apart? Read The Long Ride by Marina Budos. Allegra Elsom is caught in the middle. She's suspended between childhood and adulthood, torn apart by the decade-old tragedy that split her family in 3, and doing her best to stay true to her Catholic upbringing in the face of unexpected blows. A friend's pregnancy, an abusive relationship, the rising demand for change among women in her community. She struggles to make peace in her family and navigate the social gauntlet at school while asking bigger questions about her place in the world. What does it mean to get liberated? What does it mean to do the right thing when everyone around her defies it differently? A second wave of feminism reshapes her Sydney suburb. Allegra makes her own path, discovering firsthand the incredible ways that women can support each other and finding strength within herself to stand up to the people she loves. Suzanne Daniel has written A Girl in 3 parts. Sometimes you stand with your sisters. Sometimes you stand up to them. Allegra Elsom is figuring out where she stands. Friend or Fiction by Abby Cooper. Jade wishes her family could leave their no-name town in Colorado already. What kind of place can't keep a few nice flowers alive or considers 3 stories a mall anyway? Everybody else made sure to move away sooner than later, including her very best friend that she'd ever had. But it's tricky to leave when her dad's recovering from cancer, so stuck in a dead-end town with absolutely 0 friends. Jade makes one up. In the pages of her notebook, she writes all about Zoe, the most amazing best friend anyone could dream of. The stories flow around the clock, especially during boring science lessons or lonely lunch periods. But the plot really thickens when Jade loses her notebook and an actual girl named Zoe shows up at school in real life. Jade notices that new Zoe seems to have an awful lot in common with made-up Zoe, but who could pull off something this incredible? More importantly, are Jade and the real Zoe destined to be best friends, regardless of how or why Zoe turned up in the first place? Alice thought it was unusual to see a dragonfly in the middle of winter, but she followed it until she fell down, 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 and woke up in a world unlike any other. Welcome to Sisterland, a fantastical world where it is always summer. The most enchanting magic of all, though, is Alice's new friend, Marissa. But as the girls explore the strange land, they learn Sisterland's endless summer comes at a price. Back on Earth, their homes are freezing over. To save their families, Alice and Marissa must outwit the powerful Queen Lily. But the deeper they go into Sisterland, the less Alice and Marissa remember about their homes, their lives before, and what they are fighting for. Sisterland. True Friendship is an Act of Bravery by Sala Semuka. The Feminist Agenda of Jemima Kincaid by Kate Hattemer. Jemima Kincaid is a feminist, and she thinks you should be one too. Her private school is laden with problematic traditions, but the worst of all is prom. The guys have all the agency. The girls have to wait around for promposals. She's speaking heteronormatively because the only hetero kids even go. In Jemima's very opinionated opinion, it's positively medieval. Then Jemima is named to senior triumvirate alongside superstar athlete Andy and popular manicured Jennifer, and the 3 must organize prom. Inspired by her feminist ideals and her desire to make a mark on the school, Jemima proposes a new structure. They'll do a last chance dance. Every student privately submits a list of crushes to a website that pairs up matches. Meanwhile, Jemima finds herself embroiled in a secret romance that she craves and hates all at once. When her best friend, Ji-yoon, finds romance of her own, Jemima senses a growing rift between them, but she can't figure out why. And is a new prom system really enough to extinguish the school's raging dumpster fire of toxic masculinity? Gravity Doomsday Delgado is good at breaking things. Maybe she learned it from her broken home, but since she started boxing with a legendary coach at a gym in Brooklyn, Gravity is finding her talent for breaking things has an upside. Lately, she's been breaking records, breaking her competitors and breaking down the walls inside her. Boxing is taking her places, and if she just stays focused, she knows she'll have a shot at the Olympics. Life outside the ring is heating up too. Suddenly, she's flirting, and more with a cute boxer at her gym. much to her coach's disapproval. Meanwhile, things at home with Gravity's mom are reaching a tipping point, and Gravity has to look out for her little brother Ty. With Olympic dreams, Gravity will have to decide what is worth fighting for. Sarah Deming writes Gravity. Crying Laughing by Lance Rubin. Winnie Friedman has been waiting for the world to catch on to what she already knows. She's hilarious. It might be a long wait, though. After bombing a stand-up set at her own bat mitzvah, Winnie has kept her jokes to herself. Well, to herself and her dad, a former comedian and her inspiration. Then on the second day of 10th grade, the funniest guy in school actually laughs at a comment she makes at the lunch line and asks her to join the improv troupe. Maybe he's even flirting? Just when Winnie's ready to say yes to comedy again, her father reveals that he's been diagnosed with ALS. That is not funny. Her dad's still making jokes, though, which feels like a good thing, and Winnie's prepared to be a straight man if that's what he wants. But is it what he needs? Caught up in a spiral of epically bad dates, bad news, and bad performances, Winnie's struggling to see the humor in it all. But finding a way to laugh is exactly what will see her through. 12-year-old Jessie is in for a long summer at her aunt and uncle's house. Her cousin Anne has a snotty new best friend, leaving Jessie all alone. Luckily, Jessie has a plan. She convinces Wes, a grouchy neighborhood dog walker, to take her on as his apprentice. Sure, dog walking turns out to be harder than she expected, but with Wes's dog walking code, the rules of the RUFF, to guide her, she's soon wrangling pooches like a pro. Then a charismatic dog rival walker moves to town and quickly snatches up most of Wes's business. But Jessie is tired of feeling like the underdog, and she won't take this defeat with her tail between her legs. Rules of the RUFF by Heidi Lang. RUFF! Home, Home by Lisa Allen Augustini. Moving from Trinidad to Canada wasn't her idea, but after she's hospitalized for depression, her mother sees it as the only option. Now living with an estranged aunt and dealing with her troubles in a foreign country, she feels more lost than ever. Everything in Canada is cold and confusing. No one says hello, no one walks anywhere, and bus trips are never ending and loud. She just wants to be home. Home in Trinidad, where her only friend is going to school and Sunday church service like they used to do. But this new home also brings unexpected surprises, the chance at a family that loves unconditionally, the possibility of new friends, and the promise of a hopeful future. Though she doesn't see it yet, Canada is a place where she can feel at home if she can only find the courage to be honest with herself. I hope you enjoyed this selection of realistic fiction. These advanced readers' copies are available through Eagle Staff Prime and can be delivered to your house. Did you see a book you'd like to read? Visit the library's Schoology page and fill out the request form. We'll get it to you soon, as long as supplies last.